Hey everyone, welcome back to the second video on reading comprehension. In this video, I'll deal with a specific type of problem, and these are called direct detail questions. That means of the various types of questions, there are sometimes questions which ask you to find specific facts and specific details from the passage. So instead of relying on the memory, I'm going to teach you a very simple way to make sure that we get 100% of these questions correct without any problem. So let me before we start the RC, let me quickly revise the methodology. So again, it's a simple 3-step process. So one, we glance through the questions, keeping in mind, okay, what are the keywords, what are the types of questions that are being asked. Second, we then start reading the passage critically and keep in mind those keywords on which there are questions in the actual passage, and then we start attempting the questions. So what I'll request you to do is that you may want to pause the video as you read the passage so that we can discuss the questions. Now I'd suggest you to glance through the questions first before you read the passage. So here are the 5 questions. Alright, so I hope you've read the passage and you've attempted all the questions. So let's look at our questions. The question number 1, which says, between 1985 to 1997, the number of teachers in higher education per million population in India dash. That means it's a very simple, straightforward question, just asking you what happened to the number of teachers in higher ed between 1985 to 1987. So while you may remember this from the passage, I would strongly suggest you to just refer the passage back instead of relying on your memory. So let's go back and let's see where it was written. So by now you should have a mental map as to where it was written. Now, as you can see, throughout the world, the number of teachers in higher ed per million population grew by 10% in the same period. The period was mentioned here between 85 to 97. In India, it fell by 1%. That means this is a direct question, and I don't think you should be doing anything else but just cross-checking and marking this option. Let's move to the second question. Which of the following statements is not true in the context of the passage? So now here the only point that you should remember is it's written not true, not true. A lot of people, what they do is they don't read this not, and they'll say, okay, which of the following is true? Indian University financial neglect. This is correct. But he's saying which of the following is not true. So this, as per the passage, is correct because he mentioned that financial neglect was a reason. All over the world, university lecture hardly spend more than 12 to 15 hours. This was mentioned in the passage. So not the correct option. Indian universities are asked to reduce staff strength by 10%. Yes, this is something that was mentioned. This is directly from the passage. Public investment in higher ed has increased in India. Do you think public investment in higher education increased? I don't think so. Malaysia spends more money on education than Thailand. Now I have 2 close options, so let's see. Now as per the passage, it says public investment, number of students entering college increased. Public investment in higher ed has actually declined in relative terms, right? Between 1985, this thing, public spend higher as a percentage of outlaws grew by more than 60% in Malaysia and 20% in Thailand. India showed a decline. So that means the public investment in higher education has increased? No. That means this is the not true statement. Now, if you were to say, okay, Malaysia or Thailand, Malaysia, this grew by 60%. And 20% in Thailand, but there was no comparison between Malaysia and Thailand. So better we will leave that because we are not too sure about that. Okay. Third question. What is the UGC directive to the universities? To improve the quality of teaching? No. To spend time on research activities? No. Do not appoint any permanent teachers? Yes. Probably yes, right? But we will always make sure that we cross-verify. Provide computer and internet facilities? No. Do not spend money on counseling services to the students. Now if you see here where it was mentioned, now the UGC says universities must implement a complete freeze on the permanent recruitment, abolish all posts which have been vacant for more than a year, and cuts staff strength by 10%, etc. So this is where it's mentioned. So you should have this mental map of the message which should be able to tell you that okay, this is where the information is written. So you can cross check here. Do not appoint any permanent teachers, right? UGC directive is this. Correct. Okay. Now move to the next question. Which of the following is the reason for the sorry state of affairs of Indian universities as mentioned in the passage? Poor quality of teachers. Has he attributed it to the low quality of teachers? No. Involvement of teachers in extracurricular? No. Politics within and outside departments? No. Heavy burden of teaching hours on the teachers? No. Not getting enough financial assistance, right? So I think it is this one, but we will always cross verify. So he had mentioned, right, all of us are well aware of the unsound state of the Indian higher education system in India. Thanks to years of sustained financial neglect, most Indian universities and colleges do not research worth the name. So that means this is what the reason he is cited, right? So just to cross verify, because instead of relying on memory, it's better to always cross check so that you're 100% sure that all 5 out of 5 questions we are getting correct. Then next it says, besides direct teaching, university teachers spend considerable time on administrative activities such as admissions. Nowhere that was mentioned. Supervising examination, correction of answer papers. No. Carrying out research in the area of interest. Maintaining research equipment and libraries. Developing license with the user organization, right? So no. So I think it was clearly mentioned that, you know, product of initially only that it's not just about the hours of teaching, because the amount of time academics require to prepare the lectures of good quality as well as time they need to spend doing research. It is clear that most conscious teachers work more than 40 hours a week. That means it is actually doing carrying out research in the area of interest, right? So this is what was mentioned. So I hope now you have a very good understanding of how to attempt these passages. See, again, this is a very simple passage taken from actually the exam, right? Very simple RC this was. All I wanted to teach you in this video is that instead of guessing and instead of relying on your memory, you can get 5 out of 5 correct only by making sure that you're validating and cross-checking that all the questions you are marking, options you're marking are correct. So thanks for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video, in which I'll teach you how to tackle the big idea questions like central idea, tone, etc. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.